No, season 1 title. Yeah. The Honest Hung Woman. The story begins with Detective Hung ruminating in the public bathhouse. She's pulled out of her thoughts when she spots something emanating holy light come out of the water. I'm sorry, sir, I can't stop looking at your balls. They're perfect, she says. The entity now identified as Perfect Balls disappears beneath the surface. When Hung sticks her head in, he's gone. Mr. Balls, Zranya Anagurglit, who was he? Where did he come from? Is he even human? A mystery of divine proportions begins to unfold.
Hung fuses with perfect balls in a time skip. Just to point out that happens at the end of the story. They form the being Blung. After having searched for balls for upwards 10 years now and plagued with unanswerable questions regarding her identity and connection to balls, Hung gives up the chase. She works in a cafe.
One day, a mysterious, familiar person comes to the cafe Hung works at. It's not Balls, but it looks just like him. Hung drops a plate in shock and is immediately fired. She recognizes this Balls-like figure because he's one of the original failed perfect balls experiments, of which only 3 were ever produced. The failures were cast out of the lab, as was the one with actual perfect balls, because whoever was running the experiment wasn't really paying attention and messed up. At the end of the episode, it is revealed that Hung knows all of this because she herself is a product of the lab.
Hung is unable to fuse with the defective, imperfect balls number 2. This solidifies the knowledge that she did meet her cosmic match in the bathhouse on that fateful day. She is inspired to continue the chase. In an after-credit sequence, imperfect balls number 2 is moving his stuff out of Hung's house sadly when someone yells, "Put your balls away, you freak." It's sad and discrimination.
Hung passes through Girl City on her investigation, but ends up staying longer than anticipated.
An overpriced fashion line adopts perfect balls as its poster child. By the end, everyone learns that real fashion is what's inside your clothes. Worry strikes.
Shortly after Bloom's conception as a being of pure euphoria and perfection, the gods strike out of envy. Blong is broken into pieces and scattered across the earth in the past. Jesse Pinkman's Screaming Face is tasked by the ancient masters to piece Blong back together, in spite of their destructive nature, as a reincarnation of the god that shattered Blong. And so begins a new adventure, surely one of a lifetime.
With a full collection of found pieces, Jesse, in spite of their destructive nature as a reincarnation of the god that shattered Blung, restores and frees the entity. The divine cycle of destruction and recreation has at last found closure at the hands of Blung's humble savior, as has Jesse found peace in themselves. The viewer finds that their watching of the full Blung series has been televised, and that the zeroth series is presently, in fact, them watching the zeroth series. No comments yet.
Dude, what the fuck, man? That shit is hilarious. Perfect Balls is a carefree man with sublime balls who often gets lost. He finds himself phasing in and out of new locations at a moment's notice. His teleportation ability seems to activate at random, but at times he laments feeling there's something he's looking for. His alternate mode of transportation is bouncing around on his gigantic inflated balls. Perfect Ball's disappearance from the bathhouse sparks the main conflict of Series 1, wherein Hung comes to believe Balls has gone missing. In actuality, he just got lost in the bathtub and teleported off somewhere. Regardless, Hung infers from appearance that Balls is too stupid and too hot to wander the modern world aimlessly, and thus pursues him relentlessly. In spite of his low intellect, Balls possesses strong natural instinct akin to that of a dog, or monkey, perhaps. The fluctuating size and shape of his balls also grant him universal praise and approval wherever he goes. Perfect Balls is the sole success to derive from the Spicy Yeti Synthetic Perfect Balls experiment. He was accidentally freed by a negligent CEO operating the experiment, a loss that has since costed the company millions. Perfect Balls' defining feature is his perfect balls. They are perfectly symmetrical and glow. The circumference of them is a hotly debated topic in both the in-world and real-life scientific community as a sort of immeasurable dark matter property. They are very bouncy. Perfect Balls has a himbo body type. He can't wear clothes, or he easily becomes depressed. perfect ball's ass is described as ball-like. Resting on it restores health. Ball's glowing ball ability is reverse inherited from Blung. Perfect Balls is an official member of Coochie Patrol.
Hung is the protagonist of Blung. She is a detective on the hunt for missing person perfect balls. She has an obsession with perfection. Her home is full of unfinished sculptures and crumpled up pieces of paper, indicating her frustration with imperfect creations. She's Hung. Characters Hung sign in to edit. Hung aliases Detective Hung, Miss Hung, Mrs. Hung, Mistress Hung, Hung wife, Ultra Geese. Physical description, species Dave clone, gender F. Hung is the protagonist of Blung. She is a detective on the hunt for missing person perfect balls. She has an Hung is the protagonist of Bloom. She is a detective on the hunt for missing person perfect balls. She has an obsession with perfection. Her home is full of unfinished sculptures and crumpled up pieces of paper, indicating her frustration with imperfect creations. She's Hung. Appearance physically, Hung is in most ways identical to a typical adult Dave clone. White hair, red eyes, fluctuating race, usually tall, incredibly Hung, etc. What sets her apart is her perfect skin, a trait inherited through Blung's legendary skincare routine. She is most often seen wearing a detective's trench coat, which she only sheds during combat. There are 2 sensor bars attached to Hung, one on her eyes and one on her Hung. Her Hung sensor is detachable. It is also her weapon of choice. Hung is sliced down the middle across her waist, an injury she endured at the lab. Trivia. Due to her intellect, Hung has the unique ability to access Blung's memories. In other words, she is so smart that she can remember things from the future. During the cafe arc, Hung wears her uniform over her trench coat. The shifting nature of Hung's, or rather a Dave clone's appearance, calls for Hung to be portrayed by a different actor in every single episode. As a Dave clone, Hung has weakness to MILFs. The fuck is a MILF?
A Blung is a mystical being of perfection and the product of Hung and Perfect Ball's fusion. Due to its overwhelming perfection, Blung was shattered by the gods and dispersed throughout space and time. Blung's memories are able to be accessed by one of its 2 predecessors, Hung.
Blung has Perfect Ball's 6 boobs, is covered in eyes, is Hung, has extra arms, cup holders, a kangaroo pouch, built-in Wi-Fi, and other features. No comments yet. laughing. Chicken. Portrayed by Eddie Murphy. Okay, ta. What the fuck?
Jesse Pinkman. Screaming Face is the protagonist of Series 2. Their main characteristic is screaming, a scream so powerful that it breaks things into pieces, ironically antithetical to their quest to peace, blung back together. JPSF is actually an incarnation of the god that destroyed Blung. It was proposed that JPSF was the ideal protagonist to push Series 2's post-war message of fighting one's destructive nature and rather aiming to help the world. Despite this, Jesse Pinkman's Screaming Face was not a well-received character and is attributed the series' early cancellation. Throttling. Jim. Throttling Jim. For Throttling was a long-time employee at Spicy Yeti Labs. His disappearance is often attributed to the Hung disaster of 2019, during which the first Spicy Yeti building was burned down. Other times, it's said that Throttling went missing before that in a mysterious disappearance accident. Little is known of Throttling's life beyond the fact that he was often tasked with the shit work at Spicy Yeti Labs and was ritually abused by Kami and Ori. You couldn't just interject side lore without expanding on that shit. I need to know who those two are now, and I know I'm ever gonna know this gold as fuck script's missing bits. Never. I meant never. Tragic, really. No way there's fucking more. Hell yes.
The air is NyQuil. That's it. That's every location. Pussy assassin. Pussy assassin. Sign into edit. He penis fantastic! A penis-based superhero. Penis Fantastic is the original hung Dave who escaped from Spicy Yeti Labs 1. Having no brain, Penis Fantastic does not remember his past or the nature of his existence as a synthetic hung beast. Neither does he remember falling into a vat of penis juice, resulting in his hung having transformed into a super hung. Sworn to protect the world from all Penician villainy, he is driven solely by an overwhelming obligation to justice. Trivia. This is just like the Tick, but hung. Dionysus! Okay.
Hung is the protagonist of Blung. She is a detective on the hunt for missing person perfect balls. She has an obsession with perfection. Her home is full of unfinished sculptures and crumpled up pieces of paper, indicating her frustration with imperfect creations. She's hung. We already heard this. Lil Guy is Carmi's son.
Cat balls from the animal rights episode centered around the illegal harvesting and distribution of cat pelts. Cat balls from the episode where cat balls goes missing. Cat balls in timeout.
That is the funniest shit. Okay. Really? Really? A shitposting, biblically accurate DJ says ball is life. His main goal is to give children a music ball. The funny part is, that checked out. Turns out ball is not only life, it is also the universe. Kind of. You know, it's just, got into the whole situation, because, well, if you remember, I have way too many fucking image tabs open. My computer cannot handle that shit. Let me rephrase that. My computer can't handle that many image tabs. Hi, I'm figured out the universe guy. Anyways, yes, I live in that level of poverty. One sec. Gotta fucking, hold on, it's this one. Shit. Okay. Back to the funny. I said die. Die, please. Okay, you know, I'll just kill Chrome instead. Compromise. Oh yeah, that has to be open. Where was I? In my rant. my incoherent, schizophrenic as fuck rant that is happening in real time before your face again. My face.
Good, I'm glad you asked that. Imagine the most horrible, terrifying, evil thing you can possibly think of, and multiply it by 6!